to bring upon one of my 4 co-hosts. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we bring up the man who set up the Force India Driver Academy? It's Kunal Shah! Amidst us, we also have another special guest. Where is that guy? Ladies and gentlemen, also please give it up for one of India's most experienced Formula 1 journalists, Abhishek Dakle, is also in the house here today. Aston Martin, my bold prediction, and I want the entire audience to get up on their feet and cheer for this because we've been waiting for this for the last 10 years. I think this will be the last season of Lance Stroll in Formula 1. Wait, that's more like it. That's more like it.
He's gonna win a race.
He's gonna win a race. The race to exit from Formula 1. He's gonna win that race.
In his last season, he might just win a race. Yes.
Dude, I would love that. I would love that. But I think it's a mic drop moment. You can't top that. Sorry.
He will win a race if there are no gravel traps at it to go
He'll
into.
win a race if 19 others DNF.
Okay, there's not much more to be said about Stroll apart from the fact that he could have a punching season. He has to punch his ticket into Formula 1 apart from punching his trainer.
I think at the end of the day, Adrian Newey is going to get involved in his driver lineup decisions like he wanted to be involved back in his Williams days, because he's going to clearly be like, we've got the best engine we can get in Honda. We pretty much have the best engineering team. I mean, the number of changes that we've seen at Aston Martin are clearly to help them ace the 2026 regulations. And at some point, I really hope that blood is not thicker than water. And that's probably what's going to come in the case of Lance Stroll. He's going to have to take a stroll away from Formula 1.
And I find it amazing. Lance Stroll is going to have an Adrian Newey car before Carlos Sainz can. Come on. Come on. Life is unfair.
But you know what?
Life is sad.
Aston Martin is also going to be defined by how Fernando Alonso is going to be. And I'm eager to know what your prediction is with the Matador.
I think I would like to see Fernando Alonso win the race this year. So it's not so much a prediction, but yeah, that's what I would like. And I think that's what everyone would like. Sundaram would definitely like that.
Mission 33.
The reason I would sort of classify it as a bold prediction is because Adrian Newey's influence on the car won't sort of really kick in until 2026. You know, he's still going to be driving a bad car. But if somehow Adrian Newey towards the end of the year can extract some performance out of the car and things align for Alonso, you never know.
Which brings us to Ferrari. Before we get to any bold predictions, Ferrari for Constructors World Champions 2025. How many of you are with me? Raise your hands.
Yes.
Yes. Man, I remember a time where Ferrari fans were loud, they were passionate, they had voices, they were excited, they had emotions. Where is all that gone?
Now they have trauma.
Now they have trauma. Where are the Ferrari fans? All the Ferrari fans in the house, make some noise! That's where they are. That's where they are. Bold predictions for Ferrari. I'm thinking, and I am a big Lewis Hamilton fan, I would rather pick Carlos Sainz over Charles Leclerc if Ferrari had to make a choice. That's what I said. Still somewhat stand by it because I think Ferrari needs someone like him to deliver consistently when Lewis makes mistakes, which he will. That's his style of learning things. But in my opinion, 2025, Lewis is getting schooled. He's getting schooled by Leclerc.
On Saturday or on Sunday?
Both days.
Wow.
Both days. But it could be the opposite way in 26.
So we're just doing 2025 bold predictions. We'll bring you on again and all of you all again for 26.
But Leclerc is schooling Lewis. I think he's on another level now.
Abhishek?
That's why I said Piastri will finish second in the championship. My heart, it's a purely emotional bold prediction.
We need to build up to this.
Lewis Hamilton, world champion for Ferrari, and in 2025.
No reactions?
There will be no.
No reactions. Zeus, let's get a mic to you. Oh, we'll actually get takes on this because everyone is a Ferrari fan, which means that everyone has an opinion on Ferrari. You can't stay quiet on this one.
One thing you notice similar between Leclerc and Ferrari, Leclerc was consistently like second or at least close to the top in races 1 to 6 and then 13 to 24. It's just that second quarter of the year where he was so bad that Lando actually got that advantage. If he had even a slightly better performance in the second quarter, he would have gotten P2 in the championship, which is actually very... That's controversial, but I'm saying like, basically what I'm saying is that the consistency, it doesn't seem like it's there because we only think of Charles Leclerc as Charles Leclerc from 2022 onwards. But 2024 alone, if you're just looking at that year, other than that 1 second quarter where he did have a bit of an F moment, it was very consistent throughout the season. So that's the only doubt I have when comparing Charles and Lewis. And if he can maintain that consistency, I completely agree. Lewis is not beating Leclerc next year.
I'll tell you why I picked Lewis is Ferrari actually needs somebody like a Lewis to turn them into a winning machine. They were hoping that happens with Sebastian Vettel. I think Sebastian Vettel became Saint Sebastian Vettel too soon in his life. But Lewis is going to bring in that, I would say, the ruthlessness that you need to win consistently, that cutting edge as a driver, somebody who's able to pull in what Michael Schumacher did. I mean, to me, Michael's still the greatest just because of the fact that he could win so many with Ferrari, which over the years, over the decades, every other world champion, legendary world champion has found so tough to do, right? That's my pick, that Lewis is going to turn Ferrari into becoming a world championship winning team. And will he then actually be the driver that wins the championship, or will it be Carlos Sainz? Charles Leclerc?
Hey, yes, it will be Carlos Sainz, of course.
Will it be him or will it be Charles Leclerc? I'm going to actually ask Abhishek.
No, the reason I've said Lewis for 2025 is also because I think when he signed the deal, it was with an eye on 26. No one expected the convergence we saw last year. Everyone expected, even after the Bahrain Grand Prix and everything, everyone expected Red Bull to still be far ahead of competition. So it was never about 25. But then now Ferrari, that convergence is only going to get tighter in 2025. Which means Lewis will be in a front-running car right away. I know why a lot of people are doubting Lewis. Lewis himself was doubting himself in Qatar and other races. But I think, having gone from a dominant car to a car that's, his head dropped a little. But then we saw when he had the car, he would suddenly just fire up. If he's in a front-running car, he's going to be fired up. He has the motivation of a fresh environment. It's Ferrari. A fired-up Lewis is lethal. Yeah.
And actually, the same thing happened when he moved from McLaren to Mercedes, right? McLaren was sort of going down. Mercedes had just started up. He was pretty much partying more than racing if you go through all the records back then. Bernie Eccleston sat down, Niki Lauda had the chat, made the move, and we saw what happened with Mercedes. So Lewis, I get a feeling, is going to add to his legendary stats at Ferrari, and that's going to be that bold prediction.
What's your driver lineup list if you have to pick one?
I want to pick them over.
I pick Sainz and Albon as my top driver lineup for 25.
Let's debate that.
It's bias.
It's why I showed up.
This specific question.
Well, let's get you the mic. Why do you think they're better than a driver pairing of Lewis and Charles, who have 7 championships, 7.5?
For either of them.
I don't know if the appendix is the thing we'd be thinking about. I think genuinely, if you're looking for a driver lineup to raise a team back to glory, they also have to be drivers who are hungry enough to do it. And I think both Sainz and Albon have that level of hunger. And they've got an excellent leader in James Vowles. And he finally is dealing with 2 people who actually understand the sport rather than messing around with rookies a little bit. When it comes to McLaren, I think the whole papaya rules thing just puts me off. They would easily be my number 1 lineup if we weren't thinking papaya rules, for sure. And Hamilton and Leclerc can be in 3rd. Okay, we're looking at the amount of experience, yes, but Ferrari does not know how to do number 1, number 2 drivers. And Lewis doesn't know how to do number 2 driver, and Charles is not a main character in his own life anymore. So
That's a very interesting point. Lewis and Charles, who really is the number 1 there? And I know Fred Vasseur would like to treat both of them as his sons rather, because he's seen both of their careers from a very young age. But that's a genuine question. Who is the number 1 at Ferrari? And knowing Lewis, knowing how much he takes time in his approaches, make a mistake and then learn from it, I think that might be de facto going to Charles early on. But do you still think Ferrari have the best lineup given the fact that there could be tensions, even though they race each other very cleanly?
Yeah, I think it's one of the best lineups you could ask for. Leclerc is definitely one of the fastest on single lap pace. Nobody reads a race better than Lewis Hamilton. They will feed off each other. And having said that, the number 1 driver usually is always the one who's the quickest. It's never decided at the start of the season. It's never de facto, it's never a default setting. And I'd love to see Hamilton, a driver of the past generation, if we may call it that, and Leclerc, who's the challenger of this generation, go head to head, because that's when Formula One gets interesting, when drivers from different generations are battling, and that's what's going to happen at Ferrari. Equal machinery. Let's hope LS44 doesn't keep talking of sabotage. because that's what they do each time Lewis is not out there, which often happens. Like we said, earlier on, every driver is a human being also, after all.
But Abhishek, I want to touch up on McLaren because Akriti has a point. Papaya rules is something that helps out with the Constructors' Championship, but do you think it makes for two strong drivers? Because the way I see it, McLaren have 2.75s, but they don't have a number one. And Red Bull had a number one and they won this year. How do you see it?
I mean, Red Bull had a number one because Checo decided not to show up.
But he had a contract.
Yeah, he had a contract.
That's his favorite line.
Yeah. But I think McLaren, I see them as the strongest driver lineup because they're both at sort of similar stages of their career. McLaren is also on an upward trajectory and they're all moving together towards that point. I think once they're properly in title contention and as well as or as much as Norris sort of made a bid for the title this year, I don't think he was actually genuinely ever in contention. I think once McLaren is up there, and I think Max this year had Red Bull had a great start of the year. I think if McLaren are in the mix from the start of the season, then we'll sort of probably see a number one and a number two emerge.
But who has the best lineup then?
McLaren. For me, McLaren.
For you, McLaren?
Yeah.
I think Mohammed Ben Sulayem doesn't take it very well if you don't respect him and his organization first up. You've got to appreciate them, you've got to honor them, you've got to pay all the fines, pay all the dues. If we have to honor Mohammed Ben Sulayem, we might as well do it with 3 pictures of him because one isn't enough. Clearly, he wants all the attention. He wants to be on the podium when the world champions decided. He wants to be in the driver's briefing. He wants to be everywhere.
Yeah, remember he's decided to take a step back from Formula One apparently.
Oh yeah, he had. But what's your FIA bold prediction?
I can't predict how next will MBS find a way to be a part of the conversation. Because yesterday he made a statement saying it's a British Grand Prix, but it's the Qatar Airways British Grand Prix. Well, if we were to go back when Williams actually won their first ever race, it was also the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And it was, the sponsor was a Saudi airline. And they almost put up 2 flags. One was the Saudi Arabian flag and one was the British flag. My point is, I don't know what MBS is going to do. But Samuel, we should also tell them, the 3 of us have individually chosen one early bold prediction for 2025. But for this slide, without asking them, I just put MBS because you cannot have anyone else but MBS as a prediction when it comes to what is the next bold thing or dumb thing, depending how you see it, MBS is going to do or the FIA is going to do.
And I think MBS has brought all the masala. You have to put it that way. Asli masala, such MBS, because he's brought an 11th team to Formula 1. He's upset the apple cart totally. He's made sure that jewelry is illegal, underwear is only fireproof, which is a good thing to do. But all the other things that he's made I wouldn't say a mockery out of, but made things tougher for all the drivers.
Yeah,
to the point that we're writing letters now. We're back in the 1980s, like love letters to each other.
I think he's just created rifts with so many different parties in Formula One. He's pissed off the drivers, he's pissed off Form in sort of the whole Andretti tussle that was going on. He's just pissed off a lot of people.
And my whole prediction is I think more race directors are going to be pissed off because we've sacked 2 of them this year. I think we're going to sack more.
My bold prediction is I think he's up for renewal this year as well as presidency.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see the back of him and hopefully never back in Formula 1.
What's their name, by the way, guys? Well, what are they called? Steak F1, Steak Kicks, Sauber, Steak Kicks, Audis. What even is going on here? But we'll go to Sauber first because nobody wants to talk about Sauber. Nobody has time for Sauber. We do, but only a little bit.
I'm timing you.
Okay, start it out. Because they were pointless they weren't pointless this season. They scored a point. We shall mention 1 point on them. My bold prediction for this one is that I think both the Sauber drivers are going to score points, which is phenomenal. And did you guys actually notice that Sauber actually had the fastest pit stop at the Brazilian GP this year, even though they actually had a 41 or 30-second pit stop at most of the races earlier this year? That's the biggest operational leap that any team has taken. I feel they're heading in the good direction. If they can cut down their pit stops even further and make sure that they're not 40, but now instead 12 seconds behind, I think Hülkenberg and Bortolet are good enough drivers to score points. That's my bold prediction.
Jonathan Wheatley's joining them, the father of
Trackside operations.
Yeah,
Red Bull.
The architect of quick pit stops at Red Bull is joining Audi. But truth be told, Hülkenberg is either going to be an even bigger Hulk at Audi, or this is going to be his last season because he's taken a big risk leaving Haas. In fact, for his sake, I really hope Audi delivers a decent car where he's is able to do his magic.
We're not picking any particular order. We just love Haas because Hulkenberg moved from Haas to Sauber, so we're going to go the opposite way. My bold prediction for Haas is that Esteban Ocon's probably going to be the best midfield driver of the year, and I'm going to back up why. First season in any team, Ocon, he brings in all of his emotions. He brings in a sense of wanting to right the wrongs of his previous role, because remember, he always ends up in acrimony at any seat. I think this year he could be phenomenal. Haas are in a good run of form. They have the momentum on their side. P7 in constructors is no joke, and Ocon is always a dangerous driver. Plus, in the midfield, when you're driving with Haas, you need your elbows to be out there, and he's the kind of driver that Haas need. I think if Haas were ever looking for a prototype Haas driver, it would be Esteban Ocon. I can't look beyond him.
I think Kevin Magnussen's elbows are wider than Esteban Ocon's.
True, but maybe too wide.
He even takes race bans to help the teams.
But what do we think of Haas, guys? Any bold predictions for Haas before we get to Kunal and Abhishek's? Clearly, no one likes Haas a lot. You do.
Top 5 for Esteban.
Top 5 for Esteban. Once.
Multiple top.
I back you with that. Top 5 for Esteban multiple times. I agree with you on that. Are you going on the same line, Abhishek, for your bold prediction for Haas?
I think they're going to go through a bit of an identity crisis this year because their team Toyota, although Toyota is not officially back, but they're back. But then they're going to continue their relationship with Ferrari. But then they're going to be called Haas. So, it's going to be a bit of an identity crisis at Haas.
And don't they have operations in 4 places? They have operations in Banbury, at the Dallara factory in Italy, and then Toyota are going to do
and Maranello as well.
And Maranello with Ferrari. Wow, what is this? A Formula 1 team split in 4 locations.
And now Japan with Toyota. So that's actually that's the reason why I have the Toyota Formula 1 car here, because Toyota, after saying we're back in here just to train our engineers and drivers, made a statement a couple of days ago saying maybe we're looking at re-entering Formula 1. Now, if MBS really wants, could he sanction a 12th team coming into Formula 1? You never know. I get a feeling that Haas could just metamorphise themselves into Toyota, and I think I would love that for one of the most iconic car brands in the world. Haas did not sell to some of the other car brands that really wanted to buy in. Could it be that Haas runs Toyota's entity while still maintaining their independence and so on? So I get a feeling we're going to see more Toyota come out than Haas in the next few years, starting from 2025. But like Abhishek said, hey, what happens to Ferrari then?
But I'm so confident about Haas because Toyota, multi-billion-dollar car manufacturer, I think one of the biggest in the world, if not the biggest, have come to a 300, 400 staff team in Haas and said, we like your tech, we like your processes, we want to learn from you, which I believe is phenomenal, right? Formula 1 is such a great proving ground. But that's Haas. Do you know why I love Liam Lawson? Mexico City GP 2024, Liam Lawson's fighting for a place outside the points. He sees Sergio Perez getting all emotional, trying to salvage something at his home race, which has gone terribly. And you know what Liam Lawson does? Even though he's fighting someone from the sister team, which is the bigger team that needs more points, he says, screw you, Checo. I'm going to punch you in the face and I'm going to make sure you have the worst race of your life. He doesn't let Sergio go. Letting Sergio go is one thing. He bullied Sergio off the track. And even though Helmut Marko came to the press conference after that and said, I would have liked Liam to race less harder with Sergio, deep down inside Abhishek, he would have been saying, that's my boy. That's what I like all about. That's what we missed with Sergio. And that's why I think he's put in the car.
Yeah, I mean, that aggression that he's got, and also remember, even when he was put into the car to sort of stand in for Danny Rick last year, he was on it right away. But I do think Yuki has done more than enough to deserve a shot at that Red Bull seat.
So why not him? If you were picking him, would you put Yuki?
Yeah, I'd pick Yuki, yeah. I think if you see, Yuki has while he's still sort of prone to the occasional moments of red rage sometimes, but he has sort of improved quite a bit from his first season in terms of being able to handle his emotions, in terms of working on sort of areas where he was weak previously in his debut year. So yeah.
And your bold prediction is that Yuki's going to be in the car this year.
He's going to be in the car. They decide which car. Right now, he's of course in Racing Bulls. But actually, the bold prediction is that every race Liam Lawson is not up there. It's going to be Yuki Tsunoda in the conversation. So even if he's not in the car, he's going to be in the car by being in Liam's head. Okay, so Liam is not going to have to just cater to Max Verstappen and the pressure from Max, but the media that will constantly keep putting the pressure of, okay, is he coming for a mid-season swap? Is he coming for a mid-season swap? And that's probably where Liam's toughness will also be tested along with his race.
Okay, yeah, so my question to you is that if you think Max is going to leave Red Bull, where will he end up? Is he retiring?
That's a genuine question, yeah. Where will he end up, yeah.
So
he could well retire for all you know. He's about to become a dad. And he said he doesn't want to attend all the races, particularly if he doesn't have to.
I think Mercedes.
In place of
George.
He's called it.
Because it's auditioning for 26 and Mercedes.
Another reason, Red Bull are in decline, but also they're building for 26 their own power unit for the first time, and I don't think there's a lot of faith in that project. So if you build a bad power unit, you're stuck with that for the next generation of rules, like what happened with Red Bull again when they were stuck with underperforming Renault power unit after winning championships. Yeah, then the move to Mercedes would make sense because Mercedes have generally been good at stealing a march in the new sort of power unit era. So
there's an interesting question from Circus F1 Comic. Okay, Abhinav. What will happen to George Russell? And I get a feeling he'll go to Red Bull. I get a feeling what the audience is saying, he's probably going to go to Red Bull then. And Christian Horner's always shown interest in him before.
They would love to have someone like George.
Why?
George and Liam together.
George and Liam together would be phenomenal. Like, imagine how gritty that pair is. Imagine what they've gone through to get to Formula 1. You have the biggest, tallest, grittiest, most angry, most determined people in one team. And Red Bull anyway love the attitude of we're up against the world, which is something that George and Liam resonate a lot with. I would love to see that. My bold prediction for Mercedes for 2025 is that Toto Wolff will descend into madness. This is probably going to be the year where he's going to be the most entertaining team principal. Not because he's going to be angry, because of the quality of data he's going to present using telemetry to the media to show that Kimi Antonelli is actually incredible. Because you know why?
he's going to carry printouts.
He's going to carry printouts. That is exactly what happened in Monza. Kimi Antonelli, FP1, first ever session, comes out to show the world, I am a good driver, I'm capable of Formula 1, crashes it. It's okay, he's only a kid. Toto Wolff comes to the media with telemetry data showing that Kimi was actually this fast and he deserves to be in Formula 1. Like, that seems to me the sign of someone who's so emotionally invested into it and he wants the world to be on the same page. It's like he wants to prove that I've not made the wrong decision. I've not made the wrong decision. Trust me, I've not made the wrong decision. Because he could have gone with Carlos Sainz, but he's gone with Kimi Antonelli, and a word on him, right? We have so many friends in the paddock who've raced with Kimi Antonelli through his journey. Trust me when I say this guy is incredible. Like, we've seen it in Formula 2, the way he's evolved, and what the words that have been said to me are that he's a racing robot. He doesn't put a lap wrong. Consistently, he'll be going on lap after lap after lap. If it's a 1 minute 23.4 he has to put in, he'll do 60 laps with the same time. That is what you need for a Formula 1 driver, right? And the pace you can learn, the consistency, I'm not sure that's that easy to do. And they really are betting on him. In fact, Kimi Antonelli was testing GT3 cars and was testing cars a level above his own level when drivers in his same class were struggling to get to grips with their class. He's always been a cut above the rest. Now, we finally get to see if he's of everything that the world thinks he's made of. What do you think of Kimi?
I think we're going to see Kimi back on the top step of the podium this year.
Way, nicely done. Nicely done.
No, but I mean, look, that's a great environment for him to sort of settle into the high pressure environment of a big team without the actual pressure of top line results, so to say. When he has the car, and let's say something like around Silverstone time, if Mercedes are the way they were this year at Silverstone, he's had a few races settled in. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a race at that point.
Wow, that is saying something.
That's a bold prediction. I actually will add to that prediction. I think Mercedes in 2026 will be the Max Verstappen of this generation and Kimi Antonelli, who Toto Wolff thinks is the Max Verstappen of the next generation. So they may or may not have the car because 2026 is a lottery till literally first lap is turned in anger. But I think they're going to have, like I said, Max and Kimi Antonelli. I get a feeling Mercedes will be very happy if 2025 there are no results. You know, a headline team like they should have. But there will still be connections between them and Max being made in the media. There will be media games being played and George Russell will probably have farewell donuts in Abu Dhabi.
Come on, don't say that. I'm sorry, we weren't able to celebrate this properly because we didn't do an event for Abu Dhabi. But guys, can we just acknowledge the fact that McLaren have done it? Can we have a round of applause for the 2024 World Champions, McLaren? It's unbelievable. Consider where they work. I mean, we all have been following since the Fernando days, right? We all remember GP2 engine, the engine's going up in flame. I was ashamed to be a McLaren fan at one point. Like, why can I rep this team? But here we are today. Here we are today. And my bold prediction for this, don't beat me, sorry, Lando Norris is going to be the world champion in 2025. I can justify why. Even though I don't like the fact he came to the media and said that I want to be like Max, which is the last thing a world championship contender ever says about their their rival. Some might call it a driver being soft, but look at how Lando has grown throughout the season. He's learned how to win consistently, he's learned how to dominate qualifying, and he's also learned how to be a team leader by the very end of it. Like, even though he did put up a proper title fight, I think he's matured so much in 2024, and that even if he just goes a step beyond in 25, not even a big step, and given where McLaren are, given how flexible their car is at most circuits, if he can put it on pole 90 or 80% of the times, which he can do, I think he's in a genuine shot to win the World Championship. I really think so.
My bold prediction is the exact opposite. When the car is going to be there through the whole season, I think it's going to be Piastri next year, or rather this year. Piastri's got the champion's mindset. You know, he's won in Formula 3, won in Formula 2. Now he's going to try and win in Formula 1. When he knows the car is there, he will clean up his act. Although I must say the last few races of 24, when his qualifying was a little off, I was a little concerned, but I'm pretty sure every driver goes through that. It just gets amplified when you're suddenly in, a McLaren that's, the Constructors' champions. I get a feeling Oscar Piastri is going to be closer and closer to Lando Norris, and eventually beat him over the course of 2025.
Why have you put both the drivers? Constructors World Championships again?
Look at the trophies that they're holding.
Oh, the Hungarian. What? Oh, interesting.
I think Piastri is going to emerge as the McLaren #1 this year. He's going to gain an edge on Norris. I agree with much of what Kunal said. I mean, I think Norris doesn't have as much growth to come because he's already been around for a lot longer, whereas Piastri is only driven in his second season in Formula 1. He has those massive strides still to make, so there's much more improvement to come from Piastri than from Norris, and I think overall I think Piastri will sort of edge Norris. I think Piastri won't win the championship. Piastri will finish second in the championship.
And who's the drivers' world champion then? We'll get there. Interesting. I think it all comes down to qualifying. Whoever qualifies.